Hi, and welcome to another Chameleon Chat. My name is Lorraine, and today I have Danielle Gaudette with me. We're both adoptees, but today we're going to talk about more about our healing modalities and how we came about them. Hey, Danielle, how are you doing? Would you like to?
Hi.
Hi. Go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you. So
Yeah.
my name is Danielle Gaudette. I am an adoptee, a domestic adoptee, and I have been working as an emotional healing coach for about 20 years now because I was on my own emotional healing journey way back at the beginning and drowning in my mind, my thoughts, my feelings, and not sure where to turn. So I had to kind of go within and do the work. And we're talking about adoption, paralleling adoption story here. It was at the time that I reunited with my birth mother. So that is just to
Mm.
say that my kind of wound unraveled at that moment, and I really needed to do the work, which led me to this moment of becoming an emotional healing coach.
So you came about it to help heal yourself at first, too, then.
Completely 100%.
Yeah.
I was like, I know that I need something and I don't know what. And I also felt at that time, I can't quite find it around me. I was doing a little bit of therapy and I've had experiences where I've resonated with therapists and experiences where I haven't. And that was one where I wasn't. And I just got like this firm message, like I have to go inside and find peace within me because I don't think anybody's going to do it for me. And I can't wait for the world to become a peaceful place because that will be, I don't know,
Right.
forever, right?
Right. Nobody's coming to save you, right? You got to do it yourself.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And it wasn't until I did that work for a while that I felt, wow, like when I felt the profound changes, I felt, wow, I really want to be able to help other people with this.
Yeah. That's almost the exact same thing that happened to me. It was I was looking for help because I had reunion with my family and rejection, secondary rejection with my family, and
Mhm.
uh, just studying the adoption industry itself and the
Mhm.
systemic way that they manipulate, mothers and all of this. It came to such a head. I didn't even know I was a baby scoop era adoptee. And then all of a sudden I'm like going, what? It's a crime against humanity. Anyway, all of these things started hitting at the same time. And yeah, I was drowning, just like you. My head was just like, oh my God, it's too much. It's too much. I can't do this. I'm going to need help. So
Yeah.
reaching out for help. And it was so strange though, because every time I would try to call a therapist, my phone really wouldn't work. Like my phone physically wouldn't work. I kept
Oh,
being blocked every time I was trying to do cognitive therapy. Every time. And I was like, and of course, that was just sending me into a spiral. So it was so weird. One day I was on Facebook and I saw a friend of mine posting about Kundalini yoga training. And that's what I did. And I don't know why I was like signing up thousands of dollars and training for a year, committing myself to something I was like, eh? But I had done Kundalini and I knew that it had helped me before. And I was just so drawn to it. I mean, it was like it just sucked me in. And then
mm,
after about 6 months of being in the training and realizing that I was not only helping myself, but I was being called to teach. Oh,
mm.
that was a whole nother thing. But look at us now. We made it through that. But there's
That's
some
right.
weird callings for it. It is,
Yeah,
anyways, what I was getting at there. It
I
was
agree. I agree. The universe works in really strange ways. You never know.
Yeah, because I never planned on being a yoga instructor, embodiment instructor, trauma sensitive, polyvagal theory
Yeah,
instructor. Because
yeah,
now, of course, I've taken more trainings like yourself. Once
right.
once you're a teacher, you're always a student too, right?
Yeah, right, right. Which is really what led me to EFT because it didn't start with EFT for me, the emotional freedom techniques. It started with mind, body, spirit work, but energy work. And I was really intrigued by how moving my energy like supported me in moving my emotion. I mean, that's not even the right word. Like it
Mhm.
completely helped, like a shortcut, like a magical shortcut
Yeah.
for something that I was stuck on for so long and just going around in loops in my mind. Moving energy was like a shortcut to clearing it. So I got really interested in energy. And then I got really kind of niche oriented in that mind, body, spirit work because of my own emotional complexity and just feeling like I need to use this specifically for clearing emotion. And I want people to know that specifically it's a very powerful healing tool when it comes to emotional wellness.
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't realize how much of a help, support, shortcut, magical transformation can take place when using energy. So that's what sort of led me. I discovered emotional freedom techniques like somewhere maybe even a decade into my energy work. And I loved that it was so focused on the emotional piece. So I really wanted to kind of take a deep dive there.
Yeah, I totally understand because I became a Reiki master. You were talking
Hmm.
about the energy
Yeah.
during the biggest fallout of the fog. I'm sitting in there taking Reiki training. Another thing that honestly at the time when I first started taking it, I thought it was kind of woo woo.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
believe in it at the time. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say I didn't believe in it because I thought if people believed in anything, they could make it work. So I didn't
Yeah.
want to poo poo on people's beliefs, but I was like, yeah, how much can, this work? Well, I
Right.
found out. I found out by being
Yeah.
open to an experience that I might not necessarily understand, and
Right.
once I just was open to, okay, well, let's just listen and see what happens.
Right.
Yeah. And that
I
energy
know.
open just by being open.
Yeah, it's so powerful and it's sad to me how it gets like stuck in this like kind of woo-woo category because I find, yeah, so it gets like this woo-woo kind of name tag on it. That's one issue. And then another issue is that people just put it like off as some like little maybe hobby interest thing out, not as a priority. This is my point.
Right.
But I think it's such a priority that we need to be clearing our energy field of all the emotional, I mean, if we're going to talk in specifics, all the daily frustrations, the anxieties, the worries, you're
Yep.
on social media, the fears, the anger, like it's just like dirt, dust falling constantly.
Hmm.
Not only do we have this past stuff that we need to work on, but we have present
Hmm.
that we need to process that emotion. Otherwise, it accumulates, it becomes so overwhelming, it turns into physical issues, it turns into stuff that we no longer know how to access, right? People are like, I don't know what I feel. I'm just sort of disconnected.
Yep. Mhm.
Just all kind of in my head, and I don't know that takes a lot longer to work on. So we want to be cleaning
Right.
consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the science is all there now. I mean, the science is that these modalities, yoga's thousands of years old. They don't know it was verbally passed down until it was written down. So they don't even know. But science has now proven, yoga and EFT, mind body connection,
Yep.
mindfulness, embodiment practices. Um, I, I studied under some of the best trauma experts too, Dr. Ariel Schwartz, Dr. Stephen Porges. These are the people that are on these cutting edge of connecting that. And it's being an adoptee is unique, being in these spaces studying it, because when they're talking about the developmental trauma of separation and these early traumas, I'm sitting in there going, yeah, but no one actually ever says it. That they don't like to say that, well, you're going to suffer preverbal trauma, even though that's exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So I go ahead and say it because if you can't talk about it, you can't heal it, right? If you're going to skirt around the issues. And it's a nervous system thing. This isn't shaming and blaming anybody. This is acceptance without judgment is what this is.
That's right.
Right. So if we can get to that place, then we can work with our nervous system with the tools that you use, that I use, and that others use to get us to a place of empowerment.
Yeah.
That's where you can fully walk into your authenticity. But it's a journey, right? Yeah. Right. How long did it take you well, you said you started with the energy work, but how long do you think that journey was until, you were feeling not so reactive with your trauma?
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a journey. Like there's been up and down, up and down. I feel like it took me several years even before, right away I felt a shift, right? That's why I loved it. I felt like a cloud that was over my head was passing, like, oh, the sun is coming out. I'm feeling feelings of hope and happiness and peace that I wasn't ever feeling at all for many, many years, like ever. And so that was the beginning, right? And then I recognized that as a really important and powerful shift. And I recognized that, oh, if I, the more I put in, the more I'm going to get out. So if I keep going here, this can go really, really deep. And that's what happened. The more I went into it, the deeper the healing was taking place. And then changes were happening inside of me and then in my external relationship with my birth mother and with other people, which was really the big signal for me that it was working, because at some point I was just shut down, locked down, totally in like self-protection mode. I couldn't, and that's not really, I have that wound, but my style, my character is more to like connect, open-hearted, but I was having such a hard time. It was a really shut down time of life. So I think after about 3 years, I feel like three is where I started to be able to see it from a different perspective. And so that's the whole journey, right? Like first there's a shift and then you start taking out everything one by one. This pain, this, guilt, this shame, whatever the feelings are, one by one, and then acceptance, you use the word acceptance, and then a reframe starts to happen, right? So I feel like by the time I got to emotional freedom technique, I was ready to go really deep. And I had a really deep experience right at the beginning related to the feeling and not realizing how much I was trying to control everything to keep myself safe. And I had a really powerful one-on-one session that like hit that nail on the head so hard. And it was all related actually to my relinquishment trauma. It took me by surprise. So these is what I mean. Like you see things you didn't see, you realize things, and then you can heal them. You can reframe them. You can put them in their right place. You don't have to be so, I was controlled by it. My desire to control, I was controlled by it. So then I made space and I could see it. And so like, it's just been such an ongoing journey of changing everything about me and all my relationships one by one.
Yeah, it's important you said you made space for it.
Yeah.
And that's what I think where the resistance lies is because you're so full of the fear. And I know you know this, but our brains will stay in a comfortable state. That's its goal because it's survival. Survival is the base. That was the oldest part of the nervous system, that developed first. The reptilian brain and the older nervous system developed first, and that's survival. And so we like to stay in that comfort zone. That doesn't mean that's what's best for us. That's just where we're feeling comfortable. And that's that resistance that we feel like, maybe I should go take an EFT session or an embodiment session or a yoga class or whatever somatic type of experience that
Yeah.
you're thinking of trying, and that resistance stops.
Yeah.
Have you had experiences with that resistance when you didn't have that space for it?
Yes, completely. That's like all that protector comes up,
Hmm.
right?
Right,
It's
right,
a perceived threat, even though it's not a threat.
right.
Something new, something different. Because even, how whatever way we torture ourselves inside with whatever mental story or emotional loop, like you said, it can be comfortable if it's familiar. If it's a really long habit, it's familiar. And then we don't know what's on the other side. So
Hmm.
then we shut down in self-protection. It's just a lot of work to realize that's what we're doing. So I feel like we have to see it, That's a big part of the healing, coming to see that we're even just doing that. We don't often know what we're resisting. I have so many clients who just get stuck there. They can't see that they're doing it.
Hmm.
What they're doing to themselves. It's easy to say, it's not easy to do, but it can happen when you take time and when you practice. It can happen for anybody.
Right. And that's the key, because it does take practice, and
Right.
to make the space you have to be safe to
That's right.
begin with.
That's
So
right.
if the perceived threats are still there, if the tigers are still running around your house and at your work and in your car and all those places,
Right.
then you don't feel safe anywhere. And
Right.
until you can find safety, which you have to create within yourself, because
Yeah.
like we said at the beginning, right, nobody's coming to save you.
Right.
And that's not a threat, that's an empowerment.
Yeah.
Right? And that's when the shift, if you can look at it that way, it
Hmm.
helps with the resistance. But wow, when we're in that, and that
Right.
survival mode is so strong. Again, like I said, this is not blaming people, because I've done it. Danielle's done it. Lots of us have done it, and it's hard. You're in a hamster wheel, right?
Yeah. 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 It's a hamster wheel. And that's part of why I love educating or practicing EFT with people, over and over. Because when you understand, not just mentally and intellectually, but when you start to get a sense of how energy works, like when you understand it tangibly, you see like energy is a wave, it's a rhythm, right?
Mhm.
Even
Right.
this emotion's gonna come and go. Even this most crazed, hysterical, frightened, shut down, it's gonna come and it's gonna go. If you don't attach to it, if you don't entangle or like wrestle with it when it's happening, which is
Mhm.
this is something like no one was teaching us, right?
No.
So we're here to teach people. I feel so passionate about it. No one was teaching me. But when
Right.
you see that, and you have to like learn it for yourself, but when you have someone who's gone through it and then, okay, this is a process, this is a process, this is a wave. You can
Right.
talk yourself through that, and then you experience the shift one time, two times, then you start to like it's like a light at the end of the tunnel. Oh, this can be changed. This is not forever. This is not the end all be all truth of my reality. I felt a shift. That means more shifts can happen. People need to experience that. It's a
Right.
catch-22 a little bit, right? Because it's like they have to feel safe enough to experience it.
It is. It really
Then,
is.
yeah, then they have to experience it to feel safe enough. It's like a leap of faith a little bit at the beginning.
Trust the process. That's why people say that. Trust the process. And it is. You do have
I guess.
to
Mhm.
jump in and just have a little faith. And I know that's hard. That's really hard, especially for adopted people
Yeah.
sometimes, because we have created our own stories. And like you were just saying, you're, as long as you don't connect to it, but a lot of us have, because we had to create a story because we didn't have a story. So we
Yeah.
created these things, and undoing that literally takes like your computer hard drive, like my computer here, you have to rewire it. That hard drive has been created this story, so that's its permanent base.
That's
And you
right.
have to go in there and go, this story, it's no longer serving me. This is holding me back. So
Right.
I have to
That's
rewire
right.
this. And that's where the brain work and the movements and breath work and all of these embodiment and mindfulness practices come into place.
That's
And
right.
the tools, that we both offer and others, it's something that people have to come to themselves. But that's why we're here talking about it, because we want
Yeah.
to tell you we were just like that. We were
Yeah.
resistant. That's what we're right. We were resistant. We did all these things, but we did trust the process, right? How did you trust the process? How did you go from the resistance and feeling it? Because I remember feeling that resistance.
Yeah. So the trust word alone is really hard. And I
Right. It's a
feel
cringe.
like I feel like I'm still on the continued journey of trust. But at the beginning, I trusted, well, first, I think I trusted my teachers and my guides. I trusted what I felt from them. Again, it was like beyond intellectualizing, right? It was just like, oh, I feel a comforted feeling. This feels good. Let me move towards that.
Mhm.
And then I would do a practice and I was like, oh, this makes me feel a little lighter, a little calmer. That feels good. Let me move towards that. It was really as simple as that at the beginning, which is so hard for people to do. They have to come out of their head and tap into that sense, right? Like,
Right.
does this feel good or bad? Simple. Answer the question. And oh, bad? Okay, good. Let's move towards it. Now, when you go deeper, good and bad comes together because the bad or negative emotions are processing at the same time.
Right.
So later, I feel like that was the second step for me, trusting the process and the
Okay.
principle
Okay.
of the process. The first step was trusting the feeling I had from the teachers, and from when I practiced, I felt better. I liked it. And I even say that to my clients now, if it doesn't resonate for you, that's okay. Find something that does, because you
Right.
have to find the thing that opens the door for you. Everyone can be a little different. What's going to help you trust the process, right?
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I dabbled my toes in about anything and everything at the beginning because, I was like, I don't know. I know some things I like, but maybe I like other things too. And
Mm,
and it has to be a daily practice. You
yes,
you need to set aside time for your mental health and
right.
your physical health, just like you have to sleep every day. If
A
you don't
hundred
sleep, what
percent.
happens? You don't feel good. You get cranky. You're very reactive.
A
Well, that's
hundred
the same
percent.
thing when you don't use these tools that are here, uh,
Right.
readily available for people to do and accessible for pretty much everyone. Because I know in my classes, I make adjustments for things, and I know I've been in yours, so I know you do too.
Yeah.
And like you just said, it's finding what works,
Right.
what's going to resonate. And that can change over time too.
That's right.
I go through phases where, maybe Kundalini yoga's, I'm getting bored with it. So I change to a different type of yoga, or I do a different thing, or I move into different somatic experiences, ecstatic
Yeah.
dance, whatever it might be that day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's perfect. I tell
Right.
everybody,
That's right.
I'm not here to tell you that I'm the end all be all and this is the only way you can do it. No, I'm here to show you a tool that is going to work if you put it in your toolbox.
Exactly. And that's also happy. I feel like people can do that, what you're talking about, the more they trust. So again, it's another catch
Right.
22. It's like you have to
Exactly.
trust, and then you have to trust to get more out of it. It's
Yeah.
so amazing how it works. But similar to what you just said about sleep, I liken it to the cleaning. That's the analogy that I always think of when it
Okay.
comes to this inner, like moving your energy, clearing your energy.
Hmm.
Because why? We clean the outside of our body. We know what's going to happen if we don't clean it for days, let alone weeks, months, years. We clean our house, we clean our car. We
Let's
go
hope.
and we we have to go and open the hood and clean the inside of the car too.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we know what's going to happen. Why don't we think that we have to clean inside of ourselves?
I know it, and you can, or at least I can tell if I have been, maybe consuming too much media that's not healthy or
Right.
something, or I've eaten something bad. Because this is an easy one that you can compare it to. If I
Mhm.
eat too much sugar, because I am a sugaraholic, and I'm just going to fess up right now. But if I eat like too much sugar, the next day I can tell it's almost like a sugar hangover.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and back when I used to consume too much alcohol, right? That's a really
Yeah.
big one, because that was toxic and you put it in your body and the next day you feel like duty. And
Right.
yes, because you put something toxic in your body and that's your energy telling
Mhm.
you, right?
Exactly. Exactly. So when we become sensitized to it, then we know this food feels good, this food doesn't.
Mhm.
This thought feels good. This way of speaking feels good, and this one doesn't. This practice feels good, and this one doesn't. So at first, it's like a period of you have to take time to sensitize like that,
Mhm.
which is, I think, part of why, you and I decided to collaborate on this video that we created,
Yeah.
which if someone were to do that regularly, whether it's once a week, twice a week, or even if someone wanted something daily,
Mhm.
if you just follow, right? You just follow along at first, you will inevitably start to sensitize.
Right.
And then you can feel for yourself, oh, I want a little more of this. Oh, I like a little bit more of that. Or whether it's a practice, a food, company,
Right.
community, how I want to speak, how I want to feel. And everyone deserves that. I feel like adopted people, including myself, don't always know how to give themselves permission to feel good like that, to
Right.
allow themselves good feelings. Like
It,
we don't even know where we are. We have to find ourselves so
yeah.
we can give ourselves good things, right?
You're very, very right about that. That sometimes we can get stuck in, well, if I feel good, then does that mean that am no longer attached to the trauma, which was, maybe it was your biological family or something. Like in my case, I never got to meet my mother. So I
Mm,
had to literally go, but I'm harming myself for something that is not my burden to carry.
right,
And
right.
and it took, like you said, probably 3 years or so. And it's not linear. I mean,
Right.
Mother's Day
Right.
was just here. I got a little, it
Yeah.
wasn't as
Yeah.
bad because I
Yeah.
do my daily practice. So
Hmm.
that's really the truth of it. I mean, I'm not telling you that you're never ever going to feel bad again because
Exactly.
trauma happens all the time. But when
Right.
you have a daily practice, these good things and these good feelings and productivity and clarity of mind and being in the moment, not having attachments, these things can start happening. They can
Right.
honestly start happening. And it is a process. You're going to have to put in the work. It's not going to just all of a sudden one day you're going to be like, oh, look, I'm good again. I don't need to do it anymore. You're going to have to do it forever. It's a lifestyle change.
Yeah, because it's cleaning. You don't clean once and then it's
Right.
over. You have to
Exactly.
clean and dust, right? You know how it's going to look and feel if you don't. It's the same exact. And that alone, right, is a huge act of self-love. So just setting out to do it, I feel like the beginning of my journey was I had no idea what self-love even looked like. I was just full of self-criticism and self-judgment and self-blame. I mean, I was like under piles and mountains of it. And so it took me a long time to realize what is even this thing called self-love, but just in choosing to become really diligent and disciplined in a practice that eventually moved me there, that was actually self-love itself, but I didn't realize back then. Now I know, and I tell my clients and students all the time, just doing this, just making time for it, just choosing to put it a little bit higher up on the priority list is a huge act of self-love. And you're now giving yourself a message, I deserve good things. Instead of just being in the loop of the voice, the talk, the entanglement of the emotion and the past and the agonizing over that person and what they did. That's like self-torture. And you're giving yourself the message, I allow myself to torture myself. So we don't necessarily know how to consciously get out of that, but these tools will guide us to that. The glimpses, more and more glimpses of how to free ourselves from those unhealthy behaviors and patterns. But it takes
Absolutely.
time. Yeah, it takes practice for sure.
When I was in yoga training, my instructor, he said, 1 day without yoga, and you know it. 2 days without yoga, your instructor knows it. 3 days without yoga, and the world knows it. And, right? So,
So true.
right.
Yeah.
And so, yes, making time for ourselves, that self love. Because self love is loving others. Because when you can love yourself, you can love other people better.
Right. That's
And we
right.
can't fix the world. We're not going to change everything in the world that's happening,
That's right.
but we can change our reaction to it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And being the best self that we can be does change the world.
Yeah,
It
then we
absolutely.
bring that, right? We're bringing that brighter, more joyful or positive energy to the
Mhm.
world, to our relationships, even just, the closest relationships around us are so impacted by how we take care of ourselves emotionally and energetically. And of course, a lot of times physically, it's connected physically. That's why embodiment practice, movement is really helpful.
Mhm.
I mean, I for sure, like 25 years later, I can say for certain if I am not doing regular practice, yeah, it becomes a big problem very, very quickly. And the
Oh,
people
yeah.
around me, they might not know what's going on with me, but they'll be affected by
But
it.
they'll know, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and there's and I get this sometimes because I do a little bit more movement than the tapping. Is people are like, well, I can't move in that way and stuff, but that's why we're working together to give
That's
you
right.
more tools and more options. Because when I had my hysterectomy, I couldn't do yoga. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
physically can't. So there are times, even the people that do these things, that you can't do these things.
That's
So
right.
I did mudras and mantras, and I did tapping, and I did other things to
Mm-hmm.
make it through that time until I could get back to my physical self. So
Mm-hmm.
again, I understand when people are coming at me like, well, I can't move that way. And it's like, but especially in my classes, you get to move the way you want to. I'm
Mm-hmm.
guiding you, but it's your journey. If
That's
that's
right.
that you don't like, or yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there's always a workaround. There's
Always.
always. So we have to be careful with excuses, not to be mean and not to be blaming. Personally, there's been many times on my journey where I had to wake up and realize, oh, I'm stuck in my own excuses.
Hmm.
There's always a way if that's what we really want. So I think that the starting point is really the willingness, the desire to
Hmm.
heal, to change, to do it, to do whatever it takes to prioritize whatever it takes. Then you start to really experience like beautiful things when you head down that road.
Absolutely. I mean, there were days that I was so depressed that literally jumping up and down was all I could get to, and some cold water on my hands. And you know what? Congratulations. So
Yeah.
it sometimes it is those tiny steps just
Yeah.
to get yourself into where you can do a practice. And you know what? Congratulations, because every one of those steps is huge. And those very first ones we take are major, because the
Hmm.
rest of them, they're going to get easier and easier because the toolbox is going to get fuller, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. That's right. Exactly.
So, yeah, as we move along that journey and we get the more tools, and we listen to more podcasts and lives, I wanted to talk to you about your lives because
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Danielle's on YouTube doing lives. So, how is that going?
Oh, it's going well. It's a baby channel. Feel free to
Mine
subscribe,
too.
anyone. It's like a little bud blossoming. And I just go on there once a week and I do some educating about emotions. And it's all with me, it's all like myself through my self-study and my study with my students. I have been coming to understand the internal processing. It's the same, you know, you really see how the inner energy world works. So I'm just sharing my insights, tips, wisdom, and then I'm doing some emotional freedom technique tapping, little taps, helping people understand, like experience that and understand why that works so well. And once in a while, I'll post a video, like a tap as well. But I wanted to be able to do some live stuff because I love the interaction. I love the community building. And I want people to know they're not alone in their emotional struggle because it feels so alone, right? When we're in that dark place.
Oh,
Somehow it
yes.
feels like nobody else is, but I want to say to people, I know what you feel. Like
Yeah.
almost you can hardly bring almost any emotion to me that I have not experienced deeply before because I've been on a deep dive for a long time. So a lot of it is letting people know they're not alone and that there's always hope. There's always a way, see it differently. There's always a new perspective, and then there's always something you can practice.
I love that. I'm
Yeah,
so glad you're doing that. Maybe I'll
thank
start
you.
doing some lives too. Or maybe we'll do some lives together.
Yeah, and that's another piece I'm so happy to do collaborating together because I feel like when we bring our tools and our gifts together, it just amplifies, it magnifies the benefit. You have so much of the science understanding that I don't have. You have the movement. I have a lot of I have my own movement practice as well. I know the power of it. So when we mix it, I think it just is totally magnified.
I do too, because like we were talking about earlier, it depends on what you need what day. And sometimes what you've usually done, you can't do for whatever reason. Or
Right.
maybe you just need short snippets. So that's why I hope everyone will take a look at our video and purchase it, hopefully. But it's a combination. Danielle and I did a combination that's an hour-long video. And she does two EFT sessions. I do an embodiment session and then a guided meditation at the end that you can do in Shavasana or sitting up. And again, it's got a little bit of everything, you know, might do the whole thing or you might just do a little bit. So,
Right. I feel like it's so comprehensive that people could use it in any way. But if they were to just nothing else, like they don't know where to even start or they need something daily, maybe YouTube overwhelms them, right? Like, what do I click on? What do I search for? This is such a simple video. We decided to focus on anxiety because it's the thing that like every single, maybe 98%, 99% of human beings are dealing with in the world
or have felt it
today.
at some time.
Yeah, it's so common and it's in this really like modern social media and then, you know, current state of affairs landscape. Everyone's getting triggered over here, over there, like this angle, that angle. I mean, every single angle.
Yeah.
So
And
we just, yeah.
I was going to throw in a little science there because our adrenals used to get fired upon 4 times a week. Now it's about 12 times a day. That's
Yeah.
that hamster wheel that's keeping
Yeah.
us in that fear-based comfort zone where we don't want to reach out.
Yeah, it's too much. It's
Too
so we're
much.
here to we banded together because we're like, we know it's too much. How can we help people? We need to be able to calm our nervous systems. We need to be able to lower the cortisol that's
Mhm.
pumping. We need to take a break and take a breath. So, and then, you know, financially, it's not always easy. There's big courses, there's big coaches, there's all kinds of, you know, you said you invest thousands of dollars on the thing. But for those who don't really know or they just need something, we wanted to provide a little
Yeah.
gift for that. And I think that it turned out to be I'm so pleased with the I used the word already, comprehensive aspect. Like people are really getting to move, they're getting to breathe, they're getting to tap, they're getting to express, they're getting to feel. It's a really complete. journey.
It's also trauma sensitive because you are doing it in the space that you're comfortable with. You're
Mhm.
choosing the place that you're doing it. You don't have to leave your home, or you could even
Mm,
do it in your office. You could just shut the door
that's
if you're
true.
at work, because
That's
a
true.
lot of even the embodiment practices that I do, a lot of it can be done in a chair. So if mobility is an issue, there are workarounds, right?
That's true. And also people who are highly sensitive,
Right.
like us adopted people, and not only us. So most of my clients experience a heightened sensitivity. So
Hmm.
sometimes being around others or being in a group is
Yeah.
triggering for them. So this is
Yeah.
really lets you have that kind of quiet, private space for yourself.
I have a favorite yoga video that I bought, and I know I've had it 20 years. It's probably that old. I was like, it's digital, so it was back when that first came out, and I still do it because it's like a comfort video to me, and I know
Yeah.
every movement, and the woman's voice just comforts me. It's like comfort food to me. It's just one of those that I throw on when I need a little comfort, you know.
Yeah, I
So
love that.
hopefully, maybe this one will come to become that for you, the comfort video that you don't
Yeah.
have to think about. You just need something to do and you just turn it on.
Yeah, or people who understand you. You just need to feel understood.
Yeah.
So we did this because we understand how it feels for the nervous system to be so activated. I mean, we're talking about it like every day. We have to lower that. And if you don't have any tools to do that, it's so hard to navigate your way in this life. So use the tools. Use tools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been so good talking to you, and we share the same feelings as the people that might be going, I don't know if I want to try this or not. And it is. It's just it's okay. We've all been there. We all started somewhere. And that's the one thing I want people to know is it wasn't that long ago, that it was probably like 5 years ago, that my nervous system really just dumped when I went into reunion. I
Mhm.
was so dysregulated. I mean, there were things I couldn't even hear, or I would see things and read things wrong. I mean, it was affecting like my daily life. That's when, all of this came about, like we were talking about before. And I know others feel like that.
Right.
And if I could just hug it out of you, I would, but you can't hug it out. Hugs are good. Hugs are good. Do the hugs. If you feel comfortable with it, because some people don't
That's
like them,
right.
that's fine
That's
too. That's fine too. But you got to move some way,
right.
somehow. This energy has to unstick, and
Yeah.
it's got to start with one tiny little thing. Do that for you, not for anybody else,
That's right.
just for yourself. And
That's right.
just take that one step and say, how do I feel? Pause and ask yourself how you feel. If you don't feel anything, just keep trying
Mhm.
until one day you're like, did I feel that? Because
Mhm.
sometimes we are so disassociated that we
Yeah.
can't feel things. And I've been there too. I
Mhm.
remember one time I was walking in a place and I couldn't feel my legs. And I
Mm.
had to stop and I was like, am I walking? And I had to look down. And I
Yeah.
was like, and I realized that I had just dysregulated so bad that I couldn't feel my own legs moving.
Mm.
So I had to stop outside of where I was going for a moment and take a few breaths and
Mhm.
wiggle my toes and things. And
Mhm.
I know some of it just sounds so simple. They're like, wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, take a breath. Yes,
Yeah.
because these are the accessible tools that our body was designed to use. They're
Mm.
accessible to us, right?
Mm. That's right. That's right. Yeah, so well said. And I'm 25 years on since my healing journey began. And I'm still in the process. I'm worlds, universes away from where I started, but then a new door gets to open and I get to work on a whole new thing that I just wasn't ready back then. But now I'm not scared anymore. I'm not like shut down and overwhelmed by it. I'm like welcoming. I'm like
Yes.
bring on the new things because I want to do as much cleaning as I can so I can experience as much of my own love for myself inside my heart as I can, and then share that with others as much as I can because that's what makes me feel happy. So I want people to know that, I understand you. Me and Lorraine, we really understand you, and we want you to know what's possible. And we want you to have an easy tool. So
Yeah.
if you like it, you can use it.
Yes. And we're both, you can get a hold of us easily. We're going to have everything down in the description notes. So there'll be website links, anything like that. So you can always ask us questions. You know, it's like, what is a class like? We'll be happy to tell you. I even have a few short ones, video links that I would be happy to even just give someone to try to see if they like it. So you probably have things like that too that you do, and with the lives, like you said.
I was gonna say, I have the YouTube
free.
channel. Yeah, the
Yeah.
YouTube channel is totally free, and that's where you can access anytime.
Yeah. Yeah. So there are free things too. You know, we're not trying to be millionaires off of this, but that would be great. God, wouldn't that be great? I would love that. Did you hear that, universe? Millionaires. Anyway, but we do want accessible tools for everyone.
That's right.
And easily, this is an exchange of energy, is why we're asking for the 2222, because we put love into this in energy. And unfortunately, in this world, cash is the energy that we have to exchange in this scenario. But there are other options. So
yes,
put those in the show notes, and go see Danielle's lives weekly. What time are those again?
yes, it's noon Eastern time every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday, noon Eastern time. All right.
Yeah. And so I think it'll be in the notes, my website, so people can jump onto my mailing list and they'll get an update that it's coming, a reminder. And yeah, whenever you can, come on in.
Yeah. Subscribe to her newsletter. Definitely. She's got some good newsletters.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much.
Oh, and I do Zoom embodiment classes on Wednesday and Sunday if anybody's interested in those, and they are 11 a.m. Central Time.
Yeah.
And of course, that'll be on my website too. Danielle, I love talking to you so much. I could probably talk all day to you. Thanks for doing this, and thanks for collaborating with me, and just being there anytime I want to text or something and say hey, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Lorraine, so much. Thank you for everything.
Thanks again. So bye, like, subscribe, and comment on both of our YouTube channels. And thank you all so much for being here today. Please take that first step for you.